What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and a lot of you really seem to enjoy the videos that we did, like we need to talk about Reed Richards, or we need to talk about Black Bolt, who sucks. And so in this video, we need to talk about She-Hulk, and maybe we'll make this a weekly series, right? We have to talk about the She-Hulk trailer. Here's the thing. I'm excited for the She-Hulk show. I really am. And this is our first real look at it, right? The teaser we got before was basically Disney being like, it's a show that's happening. And like, that was it. They were like, the rumors are true, it exists, stay tuned for more info. And that was really all that we got. But in the most recent trailer that came out, we got what looks like a pretty solid indicator of what the show is about. And here's the thing, man. I know that like Wong is going to appear in the show, and I know that like obviously Mark Ruffalo's Incredible Hulk is going to appear in the show. I mean, honestly, based on the comics and what it looks like with the trailer, things like that, like their histories are directly intertwined. The funny thing about this is it's going to be kind of cool to see them, but I'm not like overly anticipated about them, right? It's not like I'm looking at it like, oh yes, we get to see Mark Ruffalo's Hulk again. I'm not really all too worried about that. And it doesn't really have anything to do with the fact that I wasn't a big fan of Professor Hulk. I didn't really mind it. It was fine. I think Infinity War and Avengers Endgame was a hugely missed opportunity to give us Worldbreaker Hulk. But, you know, in all honesty, I'm looking forward more to like Jennifer Walters and like Abomination and all that stuff, because I feel like Abomination was just one of those little unsung heroes from the MCU that was just so interesting and so cool that we just never got enough of, right? Like we literally saw him in the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton, and then as far as I'm aware, we didn't see him again until Shang-Chi. And then like that's it, like it's him and Wong fighting in a dueling ring. And it's like, I mean, I kind of want to see more of Abomination, man. He's a cool character, and it looks like we're gonna get to see him here. In what capacity, I'm not entirely sure, because as I understand it, Titania is supposed to be the main villain for She-Hulk as opposed to Abomination, but maybe he'll have some kind of a bigger role in that. Again, we won't necessarily know how everything unfolds until the show comes out. Now, I will admit, after seeing the trailer, the CGI is a little questionable. I mean, we can all kind of agree with that. Like, I mean, you know, and that's one of the things. I'm not entirely sure why, because it's not as though this is like a CW type thing. By the way, have you guys seen everything got the axe at CW, right? I think like The Flash is the only thing that didn't get canceled, but like everything else is on the chopping block. It's nuts, and it's all just gonna get whisked off to the HBO Max app, where it'll just kind of probably have a season and then just go away and never come back again. I don't know if that'll ever be the case or not, but as I understand it, Discovery, the company that bought Warner Brothers, or however that whole deal is working, right, the Warner Brothers Discovery merger, that they want to move it all over to their own individual app. It's a big gamble. We'll see if it pays off, Cotton, but nonetheless, you know, I have no clue what their grand plan is there, which is kind of nuts. But nonetheless, back on track, the CW shows are like notorious for having subpar writing and even more subpar CGI. The Flash's CGI is pretty rough, but the writing's not bad, and I just really kind of enjoy it. But with Disney Plus, it's not really that way, right? I mean, with CW, basically the creators of the show go set up a lemonade stand and then basically use that money to do their special effects and like literally fund the entire show. But Disney puts money behind their shows, right? Like look at WandaVision, look at Loki, even Hawkeye. There's money in there, and sure, not every moment with CGI is absolutely perfect, but it's obvious they're not running on a shoestring budget. So looking at She-Hulk is just kind of like, I mean, I don't necessarily know, but it may be one of those things where just the amount of money that has to be spent in order to give us the Jennifer Walters She-Hulk persona so consistently, that cost is just so high that there was only so much money they could spend there, which kind of makes sense to a degree, right? You don't want to spend the kind of money on a TV show that you would spend with like Infinity War or Avengers Endgame, just some massive blockbuster film. You wouldn't really invest that same kind of cash. But nonetheless, outside of that, it looks cool. It looks interesting. More so than that, like Jennifer Walters is She-Hulk. It looks like they nailed it. Because here's the thing, for those of you guys who are unfamiliar with She-Hulk, I mean, she's like a lot of comic book characters. Sometimes she's written great, and sometimes she's written terribly. If you ever really want to see a story where She-Hulk just loses her shit, go check out Avengers Disassembled, where like she literally just flips out, right? Goes into what you could kind of call her Worldbreaker form, and just goes nuts, right? Starts trashing Avengers Mansion and all that kind of stuff. Nowhere near the same level as like the Incredible Hulk Worldbreaker form, but she still goes on a rampage, and it's really cool to see. But the show itself looks like it's borrowing hugely from the John Byrne run, which really excites me. So for those of you guys who don't know about the John Byrne run, that's kind of like the landmark She-Hulk run, right? Like the definitive run for She-Hulk. In the same way that Jason Aaron's Thor God of Thunder is like the landmark run that's really the defining aspect of what they're using for Thor Love and Thunder. That's really what they're doing with She-Hulk, right? They're borrowing from John Byrne's run. And the reason why is because when She-Hulk was originally introduced in Marvel Comics, she was just a chick who got a blood transfusion from Bruce Banner, and that's how she became She-Hulk. And then unlike Bruce, she could transform at will and still maintain her mental faculty. She wasn't able to do that initially, but once she was able to gain control of herself, it became a hallmark of her character and one of the big differentiating factors between herself and Bruce. With John Byrne's run, they basically turned her into a kind of sex object, right? Where they focused more on her physical appearance, right? How she was drawn and designed to look very attractive to young male readers and so on and so forth. But there was a lot of character development and there was a lot of humor in there. So it was just a really, really great blend. You also add in the fact that like she was breaking the fourth wall, and it was really intriguing, which really asked the question, is that something that we're going to get consistently in the show? Because She-Hulk did that before Deadpool. It's one of the big hallmark kind of basis with her characters, why she's a legacy character, is because it's like, yeah, she was breaking the fourth wall before Deadpool was. So I'm curious to see if that's something that we're going to see in the show. Now, if I'm being honest with you, one of the best ways I think they could do that is in House of Cards style. If any of you guys ever saw House of Cards from Kevin Spacey, you know what I'm talking about. But back when Netflix, before they decided they wanted to go the direction of Blockbuster, have you guys seen that? Netflix is going belly up, son. It's almost kind of funny to watch. But when Netflix was first launching their original series, House of Cards was like the first real one. And Kevin Spacey's character would actually break the fourth wall consistently and offer like exposition, either informing you of what he was doing in the show or the significance of it, what his motivations were, or like who other people are, different things along those lines. I could definitely see them doing that in the She-Hulk show, where like she like breaks the fourth wall and addresses the audience and things like that. It would really make it unique, and it'd be a great way to tie back into the days of like the John Byrne She-Hulk run. Again, not really sure, we won't know until the show comes out, but by and large, from what I'm looking at in the trailer, man, it looks solid. It looks absolutely amazing. But the other part of this that I'm really looking forward to is, of course, Titania, because what I feel like Disney's doing with the She-Hulk show is they're giving attention to villains that we would otherwise just never see, because there'd be no reason there. There'd be no reason to bring them in. I mean, granted, Titania was originally part of Secret Wars. That's like where she kind of gained her big thing. Technically, she was a bit of a precursor to Secret Wars, but that's where she first appeared, as far as I remember. And then you got her backstory later on down the line, where she ended up becoming Titania before the events of Secret Wars, and then was whisked off to Battle World and all that kind of stuff. But it's cool. I think it's awesome that they're doing that. They're saying like there's villains out there like Titania who are huge, right? They're just enormous and they're in terms of their physical stature, and they are easily able to go toe to toe against She-Hulk and kind of give us these smaller guys that we just would never see in a film. Because honestly, who's going to go see an Avengers movie where the main villain is Titania? No one's going to go see that, right? I mean, the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies are kind of reserved for like the big time folks, right? The huge name draws, different things like that. You know, it's not really a place for like the smaller characters. And so being able to see the smaller villains in TV form is cool, because depending on how it happens and on how the character's done, they could roll them in. The other thing that I'm really, really excited about too, that I'm really hoping comes out of this, is I'm really hoping that depending on the popularity of She-Hulk and how well the show is received by the general audience, they'll kick around the idea of putting her on like the new Avengers. Because one thing to know is that She-Hulk, she's had some prominent roles in Marvel Comics. There was a point, and I believe it was after the original Secret Wars, but I can't remember off the top of my head. My memory's a little fuzzy on this particular thing. I know I'm supposed to be the expert, but hey, sometimes I forget stuff. I'm only human. But I believe after the events of Secret Wars, Ben Grimm chose to either stay behind or kind of go explore himself or something like that. And I believe She-Hulk stepped in to replace Ben Grimm. So she was on the Fantastic Four for a little while, right? She's been on Avengers team. She's been on a bunch of different teams. I think she was on the Lady Liberators. I'm not going to swear by that, but I do know she was on A-Force. And A-Force was a great team. Oh my God, an all-female Avengers team. That story was amazing. I loved A-Force. Oh my God, it was part of Secret Wars. 2015, one of the tie-in comics. It was absolutely phenomenal. But I'm really hoping that, like, depending on the popularity of this, that She-Hulk's not gonna be just relegated to the TV show. That instead, we're gonna be able to see the Marvel Cinematic Universe branch her out and give her a more prominent role. But again, it's all really just based on what they're doing with the show. It's all really based on how the show progresses, on how it unfolds, and really more so than that, whether or not anybody's interested in it, because it's entirely possible that the trailer looks phenomenal. The show itself is just kind of like, and basically all the best moments were in the trailer. So I don't know, but I have faith in Disney and Marvel, right? I have faith the show's gonna be pretty solid. But as far as it being like a legal comedy / slight drama type show, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. And I think it's gonna be a really, really fun experience. So all we have to do is wait, let's see, this is May 18th, so May, June, July, August. We gotta wait 4 months. We gotta wait 4 months for this show. It's gonna kind of suck having to wait that long for this show. I'm not even gonna lie, because I'm really looking forward to it. But let me know what you guys thought about the trailer down in the comments section, right? Let me know what you guys thought, because again, I loved it. I thought it was cool, and I'm really excited to see it. But with that being said, we're gonna bring this to an end. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.